Recently, we talked about some short games that are fun when you don't have time for an odyssey. But what about when you do? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanx, the 10 longest recent games you need to play. And number 10 is Diablo 4. Blizzard's latest entry in the Diablo series is one of those games that isn't incredibly long to finish, but it's got a massive end game that can potentially keep you going for more than 100 hours or more. How long to beat averages out the time to finish the main story at only about 26 and a half hours, but if you want to be a completionist, it's going to take significantly longer to finish this thing. That's because you're really only scratching the surface of a Diablo game when you beat it the first time. The point of these games is to continue progressing through difficulty levels to max out your character. It's a tried and true formula that Diablo 4 monkeys with in a few key ways that in some ways makes the completion shorter, but in other ways makes it feel a lot longer. The reason players have been complaining so much about the post-game, all the new seasonal stuff, it is grindy as hell. The latest season at least seems to be addressing players' characters a little, so maybe it's improved since release, but either way, all the post-game stuff boils down to grinding, and what was the other thing? There was one more thing. More grinding. Depending on who you are, that's either a positive or a negative, but even if you're not that interested in anything else, the main campaign is plenty enough fun to play through, and you'll probably get your money's worth from it, if nothing else. And number 9 is Final Fantasy XVI. The newest entry in the Final Fantasy series deviates from the series' roots in a lot of ways. I mean, for one thing, it's pretty much an action game. That doesn't mean it's short, though. If you're playing through the main story and nothing else, the game takes about 36 hours to finish. A little bit more, even. You can easily double that if you want to, be a completionist about things. That's pretty lengthy for a game with combat like this one. Like, that's a 40 to 80 hour Devil May Cry game. Some of the side quests can be kind of dull and forgettable, but the monster hunts are a ton of fun in this thing. It did end up being kind of a divisive game. It rubs some people the wrong way. Personally, I'm kind of just glad we got a Final Fantasy that feels like a complete game. It actually feels like the execution of a bunch of different ideas that melds together and lands somewhere, and does it pretty well, I think. And number 8 is Fire Emblem Engage. Easy to forget that a Fire Emblem game came out recently. And I'm not talking about Three Houses. In comparison to the previous Fire Emblem, Engage is kind of short. It's only 40 hours long. But by any normal standard, that's quite long. In reality, you're going to play it longer than that, too. Rather than the Persona-like personal links and system of Three Houses, Engage streamlines things in its campaign and camp setup. You're mostly focusing on combat this time around, which I'm not opposed to. Obviously, I like Persona stuff, but it could get a bit tedious in the previous one. It could get tiring after a while. So it's nice to have more of the back-to-basics type Fire Emblem stuff here. This one kind of got overlooked due to how stacked 2023 was, but it's another solid entry in the Fire Emblem series that's actually pretty streamlined and short compared to the last Fire Emblem game. And number 7 is Wild Hearts, another kind of forgotten game that, it has a few flaws, but it's one of the more interesting Monster Hunter likes that came out in recent years. Like pretty much any monster hunting game, Wild Hearts has a lot of grinding, so getting through the campaign takes a while. In this game's case, the main story takes about 41 and a half hours, and if you want to go completionist, it's 130. The basic gameplay hook, it's easy to recognize if you know Monster Hunter. You take missions, hunt monsters, skin them, craft weapons out of their bones and armor out of their hides, and then you do it all over again. The thing that gave this game its unique identity are these traps you can build that assist with hunting. At the most basic level, you can drop down boxes for climbing or sprints to speed up your movement, but they quickly get more complex. It's sort of a combination of Fortnite and Monster Hunter that works in a actually genuinely good way, and it adds this layer of strategy or hunts that's super interesting. Post-release has been pretty weak in terms of support, though. The PC version still runs a lot worse than it should. But if you're dying for something to hold you over till the next Monster Hunter, and especially something that adds something unique to the formula itself, this is a great time waster. And number 6 is Jagged Alliance 3. This one has been a very long time coming. The original version of Jagged Alliance 3 was announced back in 2004. It took 19 years for this thing to actually come out. And obviously the reason we're looking at it has nothing to do with when it was originally announced. it's good because there's been a lot of attempts to bring back the Jagged Alliance game. Most of them pretty bad. This one sticks close to the format that was put in place with the first two, and it's all the better for it. The tactical game is sort of XCOM crossed with an 80s action movie. At the start of the game, you recruit mercenaries, buy up equipment, then you invade a made-up country on a mission to rescue the president and restore order. What makes this game unique is how your mercenaries are paid weekly. You don't just recruit them and call it a day. You need to keep all your soldiers' pay or they will quit on you. Yeah, it's actually a pretty cool little twist on this genre, because you got to be smart about what and where you attack, because it is easy to run out of equipment. It's also easy to lose too many people and just run out of money. Like most tactical games, this thing is pretty long. If you want to finish the main story, that alone takes 48 and a half hours, and that's if you're rushing. These games are not the type that you would want to rush, though, especially the first time around. Jagged Alliance 2 can be pretty brutal for newbies, but it's a great continuation of a venerated series. And number 5 is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The sequel to Breath of the Wild is bigger in almost every way. Sure, it uses the same map, but there's 2 new layers, the Sky Layer and the Underground, which they managed to make the world feel completely new, despite the fact that it is not. And I'm somebody who played the previous game to death, and I still think that. The thing that makes me really excited about this game, though, even retrospectively, I've played the hell out of this one now, but are the new powers, especially Ultra Hand, which lets you attach objects together and do just about anything. It's one of the most unusual, innovative things in any open world game. It's impossible to say enough good things about how brilliant the Ultra Hand is. If you're playing the game normally, it can take a while. If you're mostly focused on the story, it'll take about 60 hours to finish. You want to do some extras, that number jumps to about 115 hours. You want to be a completionist about this thing, it's about 240 hours. Of course, you can finish the game in less than an hour if you beeline towards Ganon, but unlike Breath of the Wild, it's a lot harder to actually pull off in this game. The last boss doesn't mess around, so just fighting him right from the start isn't going to be easy. It can be done, but it's not the sort of thing I'm pulling off anytime soon, so there's that. At number 4 is Octopath Traveler 2. This old-school JRPG throwback is absolutely packed to the brim with content. There are 8 separate character stories to follow that you can tackle in any order. There are mini-campaigns focusing on 2 characters, and there's a post-game story, bonus bosses, side quests, and a huge world to explore. There's an absolute ton to do in this game, and it's an overall better package than the original. If you bounced off the first game, check out the sequel because it's really an improvement. Your party actually interacts with each other more, the character stories are more varied and interesting, and the turn-based combat is even more interesting. It's an old-school RPG, but there's real depth to the combat that keeps things interesting. The art style is charming, the music is fantastic, it's just a fun game that's also pretty damn long. Seriously, 60 and a half hours for the main story. But for most people, it's probably going to take more like 90, maybe more. I mean, there's 8 different stories in the game, and it mixes things up for you. It's not exhausting, although it sounds like it could be. It genuinely, really, it flies by. And number 3 is Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. CRPG developer Owlcat's follow-up to the Pathfinder games takes a franchise that seems incompatible with CRPGs and somehow makes it work. I mean, think about taking a series which motto is "In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war," and you turn it into a dialogue-heavy RPG. Well, for one thing, to do that, you adapt a already existing source book, and another is that you do put in a whole hell of a lot of combat. Sure, there's more than enough talking and questing and looting, but you spend a lot of the time on battlefields fighting the forces of chaos. There's space exploration, colony building, you resolve disputes in your kingdom, and even engage in space battles. This is a massive game that's so long that howlongtobeat.com barely has any information on it. They say on average it'll take about 96 hours, give or take, but I don't really know what that means because they don't have any data on if you're just playing the story or if you're doing other things or what. I have a feeling it can be a lot more than that. And number 2 is Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think anybody could have anticipated just how much of a breakout success this game would end up being. I mean, sure, it's obviously great, but this is the type of RPG that's pretty niche. But that does not apply here. Or maybe it's not niche anymore. I don't know. Let's see when the next big one comes out. Computer RPGs are pretty long by default, and Baldur's Gate 3 is obviously no exception. It could take anywhere between 60 or so hours to 150. It took me about 80, and I did a lot of the side quests. At a certain point, I probably should have stopped. I reached the max level well before the end game. I don't really know what else needs to be said about this one, though. It's a beautiful, complex, and really satisfying RPG with great, memorable characters and deep tactical combat. It's really good if you have a tolerance for CRPGs in any way, and if that's you, give this a try, because I can't imagine you being disappointed by it. And finally, at number 1, My Time at Sandrock. This one is a game I haven't really gotten the opportunity to talk about, and it really deserves the spotlight for once. Not just because it's incredibly long. I mean, this game is incredibly long, but it deserves a spotlight because it's honestly very good. It takes everything that was good about the original game, My Time at Portia, or what have you. It takes everything about that game and makes it better. Like, think of this one like Stardew Valley. If instead of focusing on a farm, you're just like a straight up builder. There is animal raising and farming, but your main goal is to like keep the town running. So like Stardew and games like it, time is constantly ticking down. You've only got so much stamina in a day to do things. But what makes Sandrock really stand out is that, for one thing, it is a beautiful game. It's cartoony, but the environment really looks fantastic, and it's genuinely a lot of fun to explore. Completely packed, chock full of content, right? There's so much stuff to do that it's almost overwhelming. This translates into game length. If you just want to finish the game, it can take around 80 hours, and that's if you're beelining all the main story quests and stuff. Like, if you really take your time and take things in, it's going to take twice as long. My Time at Sandrock is a farm game with charm to spare, and it's going to keep you busy for a very, very long time, which this video is no longer going to do. That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.